So you come from the educational capital of India.
When I joined hostel, my English was not at all. I've got the flair for language from him. A lot of reading that helped the language
If you
also.
don't talk in English, they'll put a tape on your mouth.
We used to have noddy in our days. But in spite of being conservative, women empowerment was a part of life.
Education in itself has evolved. The schools have themselves evolved. Teachers have evolved and the students have become smarter. But do you think that a lot of knowledge might be a little dangerous at times? Don't we watch parents handing over the phone simply to the children so that they can continue doing what they are doing without being disturbed by their children? And children have cultivated this habit of not eating until unless they are watching it. How do international schools differ from public schools? The scoring has become much quantifiable. If I'm getting 95 out of 100 in English language and I have 20 questions in a paper, so getting 95 out of 100 in a 20 question paper means I have 15 questions where I have got almost 100% of the marks. Do you think literature is dying?
Literature is a manifestation of life.
The role of AI would be a negative impact on the teachers, or it would be a blessing in disguise, or it would be it would open more doors for the teachers?
The role of teacher will change, but the teacher will remain. If you don't get any other job, you become a teacher.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm also good. Seeing you after a long time. How have you been?
I've been fine. All occupied with
Acha.
work life.
Today you have a little throat infection, I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
that
you
is
have a
there.
sore throat.
Yes.
Okay. So please let us know if in case we have to check something or no.
Yes, of course.
I'll not take much time of yours. I'll be like very diligent of the time and we'll move ahead.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. So first things first, we'll construct this in a way that we would want to know from you how you basically approached the English language and the head of departmentship which you are currently carrying as an English head of department. And we would like to know from you the early life from where you have uh, got this interest in the English language and how you pursued it through your college days. How was the marriage, and then we'll take it from there. So maybe like let's begin from the early life, from your childhood.
Okay. I would say I've had a very adventurous life with my father being in the defense. So had the opportunity of traveling a lot, mainly in the northern Indian hills of India, right from Uttarakhand to Arunachal Pradesh. So my early life also has been a great learning phase for me because of all the different places, different cultures that I have been lucky to observe. And of course, but a disadvantage of this moving a lot, of course, was a little, disturbance in the education because you had to change schools also. That was the reason that my father really strived to give us a stable education. And as a result, for quite a few years, my mother stayed in Delhi itself to provide us that stability. So they were separated for quite a bit of time. Ultimately, I managed to get into boarding school in Dehradun. And that was when my mother was able to accompany my father. So they managed to get together. So after a lot of time, my mother too was in the teaching field. So while she was in Delhi, she did that. But when I got admission in boarding school, she quit her job and joined my father.
Which school was that?
I Was lucky enough to get admission in Welham Girls
Mm-hmm.
School,
Dehradun.
Dehradun.
Okay, so you come from the educational capital of India.
Yes.
So we should say that you always had a thing for the education from the beginning.
Yes. Thanks to my parents, I did have an edge in the education that I have received. And you did mention my bent towards the English language. To tell you the truth, when I joined hostel, my English was not at all good. I used to falter a lot. Luckily, my teacher in the hostel, I just remember her name, Mrs. Allen. She was the one who really gave me that push and that extra uh, attention that was required, and who developed my skills in the language. I remember, I have been a sort of an introvert person, and she was the one who even forced me to get on the stage in my junior classes, and made me uh, got me into theater also, made me play role on the stage, and that is how it developed my language skills. Another aspect, of course, was my father himself. I've got the flair for language from him. While during his tenure also, he was involved in writing articles, papers, giving lectures, and after retirement he wrote books, but of course related to his own subject, his own genre. And so I would say my love for the language developed over time. It was not, say, it didn't come naturally. So I did develop it over time, but maybe it was there somewhere within me because of my father. And then got into reading a lot. That got my interest. So a lot of reading that helped. That's it. That's how I got into the language.
Okay, I could resonate a lot when you were talking. Basically, being a defense kid, even we had to move places, lot of change of schools, and over that, I was in KV. So KVs back then were mostly focused on Hindi medium. So when I came to Delhi, I was admitted into AFOS Bal Bharti, which was a proper English medium school, and there was there was the saying where they used to scare students that if you don't talk in English, they'll put a tape on your mouth. So you have to inevitably.
In fact, you'd be surprised, but in our boarding school, of course, English was the medium of communication. In fact, we had a day, Tuesday, where we were forced to speak in Hindi because all these students used to speak in English, and therefore we had to put a day that our teachers, assigned a day in which everybody had to speak in Hindi.
So yeah, so I could remember my early days when I struggled to speak in English, and even till today I have this small fumbles where I try to use the fillers rather than the exact grammar words or the exact vocab words. But yeah, it I've improved a lot. But yeah, there is this there's no end to learning
Yes,
English.
there's no end to learning anything. Language, of course, is very vast. You're learning every day new vocabulary, new language structures, new ways of expression.
So, what kind of books do you like to read? Do you like fiction? Do you like literature? Or
Uh, of course, I began, of course, like all teenagers, with Enid Blyton. We used to have Noddy in our days. Those were the books we began with. Moved on to Nancy Drews, Alistair MacLean, mystery, adventure, that thrillers. Those were the ones that caught my attention earlier in the days. But now, of course, as you grow, as you mature, your tastes change. And so now it's a mix of fiction as well as non-fiction.
okay, because I mostly prefer non-fiction, so that's why the question. Okay, so from after the boarding schools, did you go to the college or?
Yes, yes, I did. And as I said, during my schoolings, when I was in Dehradun. My father was posted in Arunachal Pradesh. As I said, because of that, a lot of learning has happened. When he was posted there, we used to travel from Dehradun to Arunachal Pradesh, and very interesting journey we used to have, because in one journey, I used to travel by almost all modes of transport, starting from Dehradun to Delhi by bus, by road, then took the Rajdhani to Calcutta, flew from there to Assam, crossed the Brahmaputra by ferry, and then crossed the Digaru on elephant back.
So
Then
five
finally reaching,
5 modes of transport,
yes,
and then sixth one being the walk.
being the
So
walk, and of course the jeep again, the road. So that was there. And when my father was posted there was no electricity there also. So lot of adventures, lot of changes in life transformations.
yeah. So why I asked that question of going to college, because um, from you come from my mother's and father's era. Um, not many people went to college that time, and even though, especially the women who went to the college, were either, I mean, very few of them could pass or complete the graduation and then get a job or get married. Most of them got married during their college, and my mother also was an example. So that's why that question.
Yes. So after my completion of my schooling, I did go to Delhi University. And as you said, did get married in my last final year of graduation. Gave my final exams after my marriage. So I was lucky in that my in-laws supported me there, and I was able to complete my graduation and give my exams not very soon after my marriage. Got married in January, and my exams were in April, May.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you had very, very little time to,
Yeah.
but you passed it.
Yes, I did manage to
And
pass.
did you manage to pass, or you passed it gracefully?
No, I passed it gracefully.
Oh, nice. Nice.
In
So,
fact, my in laws felt proud that I managed to get more after marriage than I did before marriage.
okay. So basically, it cannot happen until unless you have a supportive uh, family structure at home, the husbands and the in-laws. So tell us more about it.
Absolutely. Although I came from a defense family background where everybody would agree it's a more open sort of society and more independent. And I got married into a more conservative family, more traditional family. Uh, but in spite of being conservative, women empowerment was a part of life. My mother in law herself had started a business, and she was independently handling it till my husband joined, and then they moved to overseas and exports. But till then, my mother in law was managing independently. In fact, it was her and my other extended family who encouraged me to go in for the job. After my marriage, as I said, I gave my exams, graduation exams after that. Then I did my post graduation, I did my B.Ed, all after marriage. Yeah. So my mother-in-law was very supportive. In fact, she used to say the education will never go waste. So you continue. Then, in fact, I started working after both my children were going to regular school, not even play school. So that is when I joined working. And my mother-in-law was very, very supportive. If I did not get the support, I don't think I would have continued for so long.
So basically, you did graduation, and then after that, you did a graduation, complete full graduation of B.Ed post marriage, which is around 3 years of duration, if I'm
Yeah.
correct.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So basically, after your marriage, you managed to study for 3 more years,
Yes.
at the same time handling the big family as well as
As well
the
as my children.
It was a big family.
Our family was not that big, but we did have a lot of guests. So
Okay.
you could say it was a big family.
Yeah. Because being the new entrant, especially neighbor,
Yes.
so everything comes down to
And especially in those times where
Mhm.
you married and you took over the household, and of course it was your responsibility.
Yeah,
So that was there, but along with that, a lot of support
yeah,
from the in-laws. So that is why I managed to do all that.
yeah. Not many women get that kind of support.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, it
I
is
agree.
highly commendable to think about. At one place, you're saying it was a conservative family. At the other place, we see she was so supportive of the fact that women should
Yes,
leverage
does
what they
seem a
have.
contradiction, but that was the case.
Yes.
Yes.
Nice. So, as you said, she was a businesswoman. Were you in any way inspired by her? What I Let me broaden the question. When I say inspired, it's not just business or the job. It can be any aspect of the life. It might be managing households. It might be managing work. What were your inspirations from her?
Yes, she was a great inspiration for me, a very confident woman, knew how to manage. We are talking of work life balance now. She was able to do that then. The work life balance between her in-laws and as well as her parents. So it was not that because she got married she neglected her own parents. So that balance also she was able to create, maintain. And yes, there was a time when my son was born, and she was really engaged in the business. She would go early, my son would be sleeping. When she returned, my son would be sleeping. So on days when he was awake, he would not go to her because he didn't recognize her. That was when she quit. He says, my grandson is not recognizing me. That's it. I'm done. So she just quit and left. It says, your business you take, and I am taking care of my grandchildren. So she was like that, very decisive. She knew what she wanted and she went for it.
Hmm. Okay. So, from here, we'll come to the discussion on the current era of schools. Basically, from the school's perspective, now much has changed over the years. Education in itself has evolved, the schools have themselves evolved, teachers have evolved, and the students have become smarter. So, would like to know from you how have you seen this transformation over a period of 20, 25 years? I must
Yes.
say.
Yes.
So, in those 25 years, how have you seen the entire machinery uh, evolving?
Yes. If you talk of education, of course, a lot of transformation has come about in the education system, where it was when I began teaching, it was more teacher oriented, where the teacher took charge of the class and delivered the lecture, gave the explanations, and expected the students to take whatever was given simply without questioning, and learn what was expected of them and deliver it during exams. Co-curricular activities were there, but quite limited. Nowadays, of course, there's a lot of change where we try to cultivate the curiosity that the children have inherent in them, the wonder that they feel in their childhood. Try to take it further and not let it die. So, to cultivate that creativity, that analytical skill, that logical mind that children have, and children, as you say, are very smart these days. They have exposure to a lot of knowledge. We didn't have that. We got the devices in our hand when, I suppose, when COVID came.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we struggled during the COVID time to actually work on those devices, and it was actually our students teaching us. And these children are born with those devices. They can operate them without even being told which buttons to push. So they have a lot of knowledge at their fingertips, at their exposure, and so they're very well informed.
Mhm. But do you think that a lot of knowledge might be a little dangerous at times? When I say dangerous, I mean um, the knowledge is very cluttered. It's not a rational flow of knowledge. Sometimes you keep hearing from a lot of sources, but you don't know the authenticity of it. You don't know whether it's a correct knowledge or not. For example, I would say uh, after COVID, there have been many people who have been um, learning about financing, but since they are learning either from WhatsApp or Instagram or these social media sources from YouTube, they are not resorting to actual books. They are not resorting to actual um, sources from where you should be learning finance. So their concepts are not that strong, and they try to make sense among a group of 4 or 5 people, but then it backfires at times.
Yes, a drawback of all these devices, of course, is the bombardment of knowledge. And what the adults in their lives, that is where their role comes in. That is to make them understand how to filter that knowledge. Anything, any aspect unrestricted, unmonitored at that age, especially if they are given a free hand, obviously this will lead to a lot of confusion and chaos in their mind. So, that is, as I said, the role of parents and the teachers come in, where they need to guide them on how to filter that vast amount of information and knowledge they are getting. Of course, they depend a lot on their peers, and that is why they get influenced by them. But that was the case even in our times. We went more to our friends than to others, and especially at that time
Exactly.
because we were very afraid of approaching our parents.
Exactly.
That was the relationship. We were very scared of voicing ourselves. But now that relationship was also transformed. Children are more free with their parents. Parents are more free with their children. And they give them that freedom to express themselves in majority of the homes. So with that freedom, we need to teach our children all that also comes responsibility, which they need to take for their own actions. But of course, again, they are children at the end. They need the guidance, they need the monitoring, and they need that watch.
Yeah.
Which
But
is there.
as you said, obviously there's a filter required. But don't you see nowadays, don't you watch parents handing over the phone simply to the children so that they can continue doing what they are doing without being disturbed by their children? And children have cultivated this habit of not eating until unless they are watching anything on the phone.
Yes, that is happening. I would like to equate it with the soothers we used to give our children to keep them quiet
Yeah.
in our times. That has now been replaced with mobile phones.
Yeah.
So, that is one thing the parents also need to understand. Parenting, of course, is not an easy task. So, they also need to understand that that is not a diversion for them. Children do get distracted easily, but we need to give them that positive diversion rather than hand over mobile phones to them. That, of course, affects uh, their eyesight, their physical health, of course, and as well as their mental and emotional health. So, yes, mobile is not to be used as device to engage students to the point where the parents feel that they'll be quiet and they won't disturb what we are doing, and let them play on it. I have observed many parents doing that. And yes, that advice I would like to give to the parents, that do not use these devices as destructive object for the student, for the children, and to engage them in more constructive activities rather than in these. And eating or feeding the children should be um you know just that, without the TV being on or a cartoon being put, because then the child actually doesn't know how much the child is eating, or what the child is eating. And that is the case for adults too, what we call binge eating. We do that because when we are watching, that is what the child does also. And of course, physical activity is very, very essential for children, and nowadays that is lacking. Call it space, call it safety issues.
Yeah, because I remember in our childhood, we were, as you said, eating after a day's work, or maybe after the homework was done and everything was done, when we used to watch TV. So we all, and whoever was there in the family, we would all sit together, and sometimes you would watch the TV, sometimes you would sit together and eat. So it was a mix of that world. And playing was a very essential part. Still remember in my class 10th board exams, uh, when I had the exam the next day, till that time I used to go and play 2 hours at least in the evening. And uh, I think it helped me a lot, because ultimately I realized it helped me divert my mind from. No, I'm not encouraging to go and play on your board exams, but like, yeah. So nowadays the
See,
physical.
I would not be against going and playing for an hour or two, because the kind of the relaxation that this children nowadays are seeking again is their device. So instead of spending that 1 hour on the device, if they go out and play,
Yeah.
I think that is a better option.
Yeah. Especially during I was just conscious of not taking it during the exams are going on. That's fine, but yeah, you should go out and play rather than be
Yes,
in. And
if it's not just go for a walk,
go
have
for
a
a walk,
talk
yeah,
with your friends. That'll freshen up your mind and make it ready to intake more information.
yeah. So tell us more about the schools, how the schools have evolved. We have the smart schools, then we have international schools, we have public schools. Just walk us through how the schools have changed.
Yes, of course, schools, of course, are now taking in technology. They're working on that. Smart classrooms are there. First, we had the blackboard and the chalk. That was done away with the whiteboard and the marker. Then the smart boards, and now we have interactive panels.
What is a smart board?
Smart board was something on which you could access internet.
Okay.
And that was accessible. Then you could work on it, allow the children, you could open up the chapters or books and access
So basically,
medium over there.
okay,
That was accessible.
during teaching,
During teaching,
you had access to outside
yes,
world also,
yes,
which is a
absolutely.
great
Which
step.
is a great. But now even that has been replaced with the interactive panels. The LED interactive panels are now there in many of the schools. Those are being installed, and those have the whiteboards included in them. They have many options which can be explored and make the class more interactive and more engaging for the students.
How do they work? If you can just give a glimpse of how do the interactive LEDs work? It's
They're almost like your laptops or your smart TVs. You have access to all the net. You have
So
access
basically,
to.
every student has a.
No, you
Okay.
have one in the classroom.
Okay, one.
Yes, one in the classroom that the teacher can operate.
Mhm.
And whatever information the teacher wants to share with the students is available on the
LED.
LED panel.
Okay. Nice. So, the public schools are still struggling to get that, or do they already have all
No,
these?
many of the public schools also have.
Mhm.
Um, that is going to take a little bit of time. This is something that is now come into use, the LED panels which I'm talking about. But smart boards are already there in quite a few of the schools. And if you talk of the government schools and things, but they do have, but maybe in a limited uh, availability. So large in sections, or you may say in groups, they may make use of that. Computers are available even in government schools now. They have access to that also.
So, how do international schools differ from public schools? If I have to be a international school, is there a set of guidelines I have to follow?
Yes, of course. In order to get that international status, there are guidelines which are prescribed, which you have to fulfill, and standards,
Hmm.
international standards of schooling that you have to
Okay.
meet.
Okay. Such as, if you could give any examples, like um, any methodology that differs in teaching, or
So we do have a lot of exchange programs. Exchange
basically
programs are
foreign
there.
visits
Yes,
of the
foreign
students.
visits. Um, visits also, then we have competitions. Our students are engaging in participating in many competitions. They're going out of the country to participate in that. Then the student teacher ratio, the availability of resources, all that is a requirement for the international schools.
Okay. Okay. So, coming to the language, coming to the English language, basically, the way scoring has is taking place nowadays. We see that the scoring has become much quantifiable. For if I can give an example, uh, if I'm getting 95 out of 100 in English language and I have 20 questions in a paper, so getting 95 out of 100 in a 20 question paper means I have 15 questions where I have got almost 100% of the marks. So, do you think this is the right way of scoring, or do you think there can be a better way of doing that? Or if it's the right way, how is it solving what problem is it solving?
See, in language basically solves the purpose of communication. English, all said and done, is a foreign language for us. I remember in our times, our we there was a lot of focus on grammar. Nowadays, English is more communicative. So when we're talking of communication, then considering English as a foreign language, um, a few you know if you're able to convey your ideas in a way that the other person is able to understand, that solves the purpose of language. And when we have to if you're talking of scores in the board examination, we are having a standardized marking system which caters to students from all walks of life, all strata of life of the society. So if in order to have um, common standard marking system in which will help these students coming from the rural areas, the remote areas, also obviously not at par, but at least be able to clear the examinations and be able to, have that confidence of working in a society which is n- at the moment, let's say, being dominated by the English language. So they may not be perfect in their grammar, But if they are able to communicate their ideas well enough for the other person to understand, I think they deserve those marks.
So basically, if I understand it correctly, it is the less privileged ones, or maybe not so familiar ones, are uh, getting a help here where they're able to match up to a standard score, so that this is not hampering
their overall development, and of
performance.
course their mental confidence, where they feel that they are lesser than others. Of course, they may not score as well as the ones from the public schools or the more affluent schools, but at least they manage to get through. And even if you talk of the children coming from the more uh, well schools which are well versed with the language, there also uh, language is very subjective. So having your own perceptions, having your own ideas, you cannot deduct marks if they are not catering to your thoughts. So every person has their own ideas, their own thoughts, their own perceptions, and therefore they're deserving of the marks that they're getting.
Okay. Very well said. I think last time I spoke to you, you also mentioned about um, the boards have also been very responsive of how the industry behaves going forward. You mentioned about cutting through the essay lengths and evolving to the standards which are actually required. Tell us more about it, like how the boards have restructured their requirements so that just to not follow the norm. And
yes, of course, a lot of changes have come about in the way the lessons are being delivered. The curriculum is being upgraded, changed. Lot of experiential learning or hands-on learning, we call it, is being incorporated. Methodology, lot of trainings for teachers so that they can deliver that kind of those kinds of methodologies and teachings in the classrooms, which engage students, not curb their creativity, may make them critical thinkers, what we call the 21st century skills, which need to be inculcated in the children. So that is very essential now. There's a lot of talk about a gap between what the industry wants and what the schools are delivering. So that is what is now being bridged.
Yeah, we do see it in the colleges also.
Yes.
The colleges have been coming up with hackathons or similar workshops.
Yes, that is there in schools also now. MUNs, entrepreneurial skill sets. Um, start even in schools, the students are given chances to uh, you know have a experience of starting their own startups. Not just the idea, but the execution of that idea. So that gap which was widening between the education system and the uh, skill sets required in the job market, employability, that is being bridged. And the national education policy of the 2020 that is being implemented now, that talks about equipping the children with these 21st century skills and talking about experiential learning, enhancing their skill sets, and that is what the schools are now aiming at. And a lot is being done, a lot of new methodologies, innovations, creativity, and along with academics. Of course, academics is important, but alongside the extracurricular activities, the experience that the child is gaining, the confidence that the schools are striving to give the child through various activities and exposure, that is very commendable by the board also and by the schools which are taking up that onus.
What do you think is the best way of teaching the English language to the class of, let's say, 50 people? For example, in our times, they used to encourage students to read as much as possible. but reading is something I'll have to do on my own. But as a teacher, how would you encourage students?
See, as I said, English is a skill subject. You have the four skills. I don't think I need to list them. But being reading is a very essential part, and especially with the gadgets coming, reading is taking a back seat. So reading needs to be a part of the English teaching methodology. But just simply asking the students to read is not enough. After reading, a discussion on what is read, what their thoughts are, and allowing the students, rather than the teacher telling them what it says, it is the student who needs to tell what they have understood. And it's quite refreshing and invigorating to listen to what the students, their point of view, because they come up with something surprisingly creative and innovative interpretations. So getting them to speak, again, speaking is a very essential skill nowadays, communication.
Do
That
you
is,
do you think literature is dying now? We don't get as many books in literature. The last we all read was Julius Caesar and Tempest, and that was the last gen literature. After that, there has not been any literature books or authors interested in writing literatures.
I would not say literature is dying, but literature is also transforming. Obviously, we cannot have the same kind of writing as we used to have in the Shakespearean time. Even from then on, literature has transformed. The way the poetry was written, the way the poets wrote, the language that they used, we do, it's not done in the same manner. We still have poetry, but it is more related to the life that people are leading, more relatable. So the language that is used is something that the people can understand. So obviously, with times and with the needs of the generation, writing styles will change, they will differ, they will transform. So we cannot say that literature is dying. In schools, we still attempt to go back to that literature that we used to have the students perform, have competitions based on that, have them appreciate what was written by the previous writers, but also learn to express themselves freely in their own way, in their own language. So it's just like everything else in life is transforming, so is literature.
Okay. So the purpose of asking the last two questions was to basically connect them. I'll tell you how. The first question which I asked was the way of teaching English language, and the second question was around the literature. So when we were trying to actually cultivate a reading habit, we were told in a class that there is something called as a word span. You read 2 words per second, 3 words per second, try to read 5 words, then 10 words, and then there are people who read more than 10 words per second. And that is how you develop a big word span. So right now you see 1 word at a time, you'll start seeing 20 words at a time. So there are techniques where you increase your reading speeds. So when you go for the competitions like CAT and GMAT, there are people who try to develop a habit of 700 words per minute, 1000 words per minute. Then comprehension comes later. First you read, then you comprehend. And then, as you said, when a child reads it and you discuss it, and then he understands and delivers what he has understood, that's where literature comes in. Because Julius Caesar or Shakespeare, Julius Caesar written by Shakespeare, is nothing but an interpretation of Shakespeare, right? So he has read something and then he has created such a masterpiece all through his own mind. So that is what I was trying to
Yes.
join, and you did it
And
perfectly.
even the board also, CBSE also, is now focusing a lot on storytelling. That is a part of literature. So literature is a manifestation of life. Shakespeare manifested the life of that time. Writers now are manifesting the life of now, the current times. But literature will remain literature, whether it is of that time or this time.
It has to remain, and I would want to read more writers, to literature. Okay, coming back to where we were. So, do you think the role of AI would be a negative impact on the teachers, or it would be a blessing in disguise, or it would be it would open more doors for the teachers?
I think, of course, it'll open more doors. As I said before, also, when we talk of these gadgets and devices, we do need the adults and the teachers to keep a check and monitor what the students are saying, are seeing and consuming. Another thing is, of course, filtering that information, analyzing it. So, of course, teachers' role will remain. In fact, if we remember, we used to have class of 60 students, which has reduced to almost half, possibly will reduce further. Now we talk of the student teacher ratio. So, in order to give that individualized attention to the students, we need to have smaller classes, which is happening. And AI comes into effect. As I said, we are using the interactive panels. So, AI is being used, animation is being used. Through, we used to have those comics first. Now, those comics are digital. It is just the medium that is being changed.
Yeah, I have managed to see few of the digital comics, and it has become so easy for anyone to create a comic kind of a book and just upload it on Amazon, and people are earning also in that. And AI can create countless of
Yes.
comics.
Children are writing books and they're
Mhm.
getting them published.
But I still struggle to understand how would it basically increase the role of teachers. Do you think more and more teachers would be?
So when the class size is bound to reduce, obviously the teachers per class will also increase.
Obviously, the students will keep on increasing.
Students
Yes.
will increase. There will be demand for teachers, and how to use that information in a constructive manner, in a positive manner, that guidance will be required by students. And that is the role. The role of teacher will change, but the teacher will remain.
Yeah, obviously.
Right? So,
You believe in the human intervention more, or because I believe that the role of humans has to be there, and although AI is really good, but what a human can do is not something a AI can do or should do, because empathy
absolutely, that
is
is what we
also.
need to
Yeah.
instill in our children. The compassion, empathy, the emotion, the emotive value is not going to come through AI. That connect, that bonding, that relationship, that needs the human touch. So humans will be above the AI.
Obviously. Okay, so to conclude today's discussion, would like to know from you the advice that you would want to give to um, people who want to see academicians as a career, academics as a career. There were there was a guest who has been a academician for some time, and then people are having discussions that there are, uh, as per IAS, there should be a ITES teaching services also started from the government, so that teaching has been looked upon something like a, a go-to job when you don't have anything.
Yes, unfortunately, that is the idea, the concept of many misguided concept that if you don't get any other job, you become a teacher. But teaching requires a lot of involvement, lot of passion. It is not just delivering information or getting the students to score marks. It is building personalities, building character. And if the at that stage there is a failure, then we get a generation that is a failure. So teaching requires a lot of passion, as I said, a lot of involvement. It was considered that women, we have a lot of majority of women in the job because it was thought that the woman would get back home at half day and then take care of the house and the family. But teaching is no longer just that, because there's a lot of preparation required, there is a lot of thought that goes into it, lot of innovation and creativity that is required now, especially with the change in the kind of schooling that is there, and the kind of students we are getting, who, as I said, are more aware, and you need to keep up with the generation. So lot of study, lot of preparation, lot of backhand knowledge is required. You need to prepare yourself. And even if there have been people who have joined thinking that it's a half day job, get involved in it. And ultimately, teaching is not just a profession, a job. It's a way of life, I think. It is life, and you are building lives. So it's, I don't know, I would say I'm proud to be a teacher, to be in that
Yeah, because
vocation.
this profession has been really undermined
Yes.
in a few
If
years.
you remember, we used to have the Gurukul system where the guru was ultimate, was the head, and elicited a lot of respect. Unfortunately, that respect for the teacher is getting lost somewhere with this kind of idea that teaching is the last resort. But that is not the case. If we cannot teach our children to respect, whether it is teacher, whether it is any elder, then we are not raising a generation who, the kind of generation that we actually want, who are not just materialistic, who have compassion, who have empathy, who are sensitive to the requirements and needs of others. So that is, of course, something that I would like to tell the parents also. Unfortunately, we have started considering schools as service givers. But schools are not just service providers. Education is not, cannot be equated with that kind of an industry. So education is something noble and should be considered as such, and children need to be taught to respect, and that will only come if the parents at home, if the elders at home transfer that respect, show that respect themselves, only then the children will learn to respect. So that is essential, important.
That is, I think, sometimes that is getting attributed because of lot of coaching centers or tuition centers coming outside, which most of them are genuine, but there are obviously few whose sole purpose is to make money, no? Make good money. So that is also something which is hampering the image of the teachers, and which has given an idea that this is just taken for granted.
Yes, coaching and taking help began with the students who really needed it. But now, with the rising competition, everybody wants to, score high. And again, it is us, the adults, the parents, who, impose our own expectations on the children. So that pressure to score, succeed, clear competitive examinations, of course, has given rise to these coaching centers. So we need to actually, allow our children, of course, again, I would say with a lot of ideas, uh, some of the movies also, which are now talking about letting the child follow their own dreams, their own interests, their own aptitudes, rather than forcing them to uh, fulfill, let's say, the unfulfilled desires of their parents or the adults. So, if we allow our children to follow or to pursue their own dreams, their own choices, their own interests, I think that is going to be a great help there.
Yeah. Because my idea or our idea of going to coaching back then was wholly because whatever was supposed to appear in the exams for boards, or maybe higher boards like 12th or something, in the schools, after giving the first prelims or first term exams and all, it was quite clear that I might be left behind and I might not be able to score as much only with the help of studying at school. So that was the whole idea of going to the coaching, so that this learning will be structured in a way and it will be targeted at achieving higher
Yes.
percentage
But
at
then
boards. But
in
then,
coaching also,
yeah,
you have a class just like in the
exactly,
school. So
exactly.
it doesn't.
Yeah, but this that some level of personalized attention you get at coaching, until unless it's a big IIT coaching where 200, 300 children are at in one class. But yeah, obviously not everyone is doing good and not everyone is doing bad. So it's a mix of the world out there. So because of few um, not so good methodologies or intentions, the whole ecosystem is getting tainted. So yes.
See, just like any other area of life, you have all kinds of people, all kind with intent, with all kinds of intentions. So, of course, I would not say that you know teaching, all teachers are that, but yes, majority that I have come into contact with in my long span of teaching career have been those who genuinely wanted to help the students and perform their role as teachers, and now of course facilitators, as this as CBSE prefers to call us facilitators, to facilitate learning rather than actually teach. So that is the change that is coming. Teachers are doing more a job of facilitating that learning graph of the students, where they learn themselves with the help of the teachers in the class. So again, of course, as I said, in every area there are all kinds of people, so that is going to remain. And let's hope the majority wins with the ones with the good intentions.
Okay. So you have almost reached the pinnacle of your uh, teaching career. So now, if I may ask, um, what plans from now? What are you looking at? Um, Maybe retirement, post retirement. Um, if you would want to share, you would want to continue in the education field, or you want
See,
to
that is what
explore?
I've been doing for the majority of my life. So I think that is the uh, that is what I am into, and that is what I think I'll be able to continue into. Whether it is related to language, as my father was writing, maybe I'd want to go into writing something, or that field only. But as my mother-in-law used to say, keep working till you can. And as my mentor in my own school has said, should not retire till you're tired. Those words have really gone deep, and I certainly would follow them. So, till that, and my mother in law also used to say that till the time you are working, you remain young. The moment you quit, you become old. All your ailments surface. So till the time I'm able to, I will do something. Of course, even after I retire, which is quite close. So let's see. I do have plans. Which ones materialize, which ones are successful. We'll see. Time will tell.
Okay. Wish you the best.
Thank
And
you.
we would conclude here. And hopefully, we'll meet soon and reconvene and see what you are doing then. Maybe you would have retired, or if not retired, or maybe you would have started doing something. We'll just intrude again and yeah.
Certainly. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And again, I would like to tell whoever this reaches that we should keep alive the childhood within us, not try to make our children mature before their age. Let them keep alive that curiosity and teach them empathy and service, which are basic human values, compassion. That those should not die in our, in our ambition to succeed in this financial world. These are some values which we should retain. Right? Thank you.
Thank you.